All right, we'll go ahead and start. I'm already getting a couple, or I've already gotten one question. Real quick, just to go over everything. Um, Thank you for joining. My name is Daphne. I am the program manager at Lisa's Care Connection. Today we have Paul Nasi. He is a planning advisor with Forest Lawn. He has helped many of the families that we serve at Lisa's navigate through planning ahead for arrangements at the end of life. We have a Q&A feature within the webinar. Please use that for any questions that you may have. I know that the chat is disabled, but the Q&A is there to submit any questions that you may have, and I will try to answer or get to them as Paul is presenting. And with that, I will let Paul begin.
Thank you very much, everybody, for attending today, and thank you to those of you who couldn't make it but are watching the playback at your own convenience. Thank you to Lisa's Care Connection. They're a great organization. I've been working with them for a few years now, doing various presentations and assisting families with information on how to better be prepared ahead of time and get some of those arrangements done. Again, my name is Paul Nasi, and as mentioned, I'm an advisor with Forest Lawn, a planning advisor. I've been there for almost 4 years now. And one of the things I'm very passionate about is actually sharing the information on how to plan ahead and the benefits of doing so, which is why we do these, different presentations for either individuals or various communities, senior centers, businesses, wherever they would like to hear the information. I'll be there to assist. Normally I do a trivia function. I don't know, Daphne, maybe if you could, I don't know if we could really do that in here, just based on the Q&A. So maybe I can just skip this. But generally when it's in person, we do a trivia portion. I'll show you the questions in case you're curious what a, pre-need trivia looks like. So one of them is who holds the record for the world's most expensive funeral? Not your average trivia here, but you may know some of this or you may have a good guess, but those are the choices there. They're populating now. Folks don't always get the correct answer. The answer might shock you here. But again, we can just maybe move past this. I'll just give you the answer here. It is Ronald Reagan. So I don't know if anybody would have guessed that based on the lineup here. Princess Diana, Michael Jackson, these prominent figures. So Ronald Reagan's was several $100 million, and the reason for that was they count the service itself. Federal employees received a paid day off. The stock exchange was shut down for the day, and the Reagan Library and also the public roadways were closed off in that area as well. So they count all of that as sort of his send off essentially. Next question is for a veteran service. We honor our veterans at Forest Lawn and we thank them for their service. For a veteran service, how many stars should be visible on a properly folded flag? So choices are populating here. And then, of course, I'll just give you the answer here. It's a lucky day. Normally you have to know the answer, but I'm just giving them to you here, given the circumstances. So it is four, one for every major branch of the military, Army, Marines, Navy, and Air Force. Last but not least, this is my favorite question, is how many Forest Lawn locations are there? This is a great piece. I always like to include this because some folks think maybe there's only one. Some folks know of two, especially if you're in this, sort of Glendale, Burbank area. You know that there's one in Glendale, and then there's the one in Hollywood, but most folks don't know that we have four other locations actually. So Glendale location is our flagship location. It's been around since 1906. Fun fact, the city of Glendale was established in 1906. So we like to say, like, we don't know which came first, the city or Forest Lawn, but we've been a staple and we've been a part of the Jewel City for quite some time. It's a beautiful location. You can see there's some nice views, various sections to offer as well. Hollywood Hills, which is just off the 134 freeway. That is right near, very, very close to Lisa's Care Connection as well, the location here in Burbank. And it's got rolling hills, it's got beautiful views of the studios, and it's really got a lot of deer and wildlife. If you're one who enjoys nature, we do have a lot of that going in the Hollywood Hills location. Next up, we have our Covina Hills location, one of the locations that many folks don't know about. This is just off the 10 freeway. It is a Via Verde exit and also a very, very large location. I believe it's our biggest park. And we have a lot going on there. As you can see here, I chose this slide to showcase one of our sections that we have. This is called the Woodlands. And actually, each of the rocks that you see here, those are for ground cremation. And also the tree stumps that you see, those are also available to use for urns. So urns can be placed beneath those. We also have one of these in our Hollywood Hills Park. Again, that's near Lisa's Care Connection here in the Burbank area. Long Beach, it's a historic location. You can see there's the beautiful Spanish architecture that's featured in this park. This was originally not a forest lawn. It went into disarray, and we rescued this location quite some years back, and we've restored it, and we've been operating it ever since and serving the Long Beach community and Carson and those surrounding areas for many, many years now. Next up is our Cypress location, located right sort of at the beginning of Orange County there. It's a very, very nice park. It's very flat, as you see here in this picture. You know, at most, you might have to have a few stairs or a ramp to get to the section above. But again, the entire park is flat. So it is a really, really nice park for the Orange County area. Last but not least, we do also serve the Cathedral City location. Park is located kind of in the Coachella Valley area, and then we also have an office there. So we have about 6 physical parks and then about 7 office locations as well. And this is kind of way out by Palm Springs for those of you who don't know where Coachella Valley is. Okay, and then a little bit about why I believe so strongly in what I do, why I joined the team at Forest Lawn, and why I still believe in the mission and the goal, and that I'm still here. So I always like to share a story about my father, and it's a little bit of a difficult story. Sometimes I speak about my grandfather. I'm sure many of you have a story about a loved one that you've lost. Um, my father and mother, of course, you know, they taught me much of everything I know, but in this case, I'll speak about my father. He's no longer with us. He's a man who, you know, he taught me how to respect people, always be punctual, always be professional, always be kind and courteous. He would always say it doesn't take much to help somebody. If you can help somebody, you lose nothing. You can only gain something by just being a good person. And I also learned how to dress from him. You can see he has a nice suit on. That was his favorite suit. And, you know, my parents came here in the late 70s from Iraq. It was a war-torn Iraq, and quickly began sort of working hard and trying to, you know, chase after what many people come here for, is that American dream, right? That freedom, to work as you please, open business as you please, you know, raise your family here, and safety, right? So my father was in sales most of his life, and then he began opening his own location, his own store, where just as he's holding his glasses and smiling as he always was there, he would sell sunglasses, glasses. He did repairs, prescriptions, vision tests. So that was his profession until retirement, until about 2016. So he ran that business for about 20 years. Um, Slowly thereafter, as you know, we see with many retired folks, if they're used to that hustle and bustle, and just they're not used to sort of sitting still, health can begin to deteriorate, or you know, catch up with them, as was the case with my father. He had some heart issues, some vascular issues, and ultimately he suffered a cardiac arrest on March 2nd, 2022. Um, losing a loved one, losing a parent, Losing anyone, I suppose, is something that we're never prepared for. It's very difficult. We didn't know what to do at that time. I was not working at Forest Lawn. That was just before I started. And my siblings and I had no idea what to do. The only thing we knew is that my parents had a property in the Hollywood Hills Park. Other than that, we didn't know what to do for services, and we had to basically just call around and see what we could do, what the process was. We had never had to do anything like that before. Um, so ultimately, we were left to my siblings and I pick things like the casket, decide about the church service, if there was to be a viewing, um, all these kind of things that truly could have been done ahead of time. Again, as I mentioned, my parents had their property, but they were not considering services yet, so we weren't expecting any passing. Um, so one of the things that I would love to do is just have a conversation with anyone who would like the information. It is something that, not many of us would like to talk about, but it's an incredibly important topic. And having these conversations ahead of time can save a lot of heartache. Um, as the slide here, kind of speaks for itself, there's one thing in life that can't be avoided, and that's of course passing, right? We all know that it's something that will eventually happen, but again, we just don't want to talk about it. It's sort of taboo in some cultures. So this is another great point here is what will your family face on one of the most difficult days of their lives? These are some of the points that I like to include. I like to focus on the one in the center here. Does she or he want burial or cremation? This is a huge question. Again, many folks don't have these conversations with their family ahead of time. So this could be a huge pain point because, of course, once the service is done, it's final. There can be regret. It's just something that you cannot go back, and you don't do it twice. You do a service once, right? So having those details out ahead of time is really helpful for family and friends left behind. Who's paying for all this? These days, we see a lot of GoFundMe's. We see some, other methods. Maybe there's a car wash, or maybe you have a large enough family where everyone can sort of help out. But that's not the case with everybody. Sometimes these arrangements fall on one person, and it can be very difficult to have to pay for everything at once. And then other minor things, booking the church, notifying out of town family and friends, all these kind of things can add up. And really, we want to be able to just kind of take all that away from you, relieve that burden from your family, and make sure that you have these arrangements made ahead of time, right? Or at least have the information ahead of time. I believe it is truly a gift, leaving your loved ones that pre-plan, leaving them everything that, the instructions for that day on how everything should go. One of the ways that we can do that, or you can do that, is we can work together to complete the final wishes organizer pictured here. So it's a really neat folder. It's got a lot of information inside. And really what it does is this essentially serves as your family's roadmap for that day. So having this completed ahead of time is almost like having your voice in that room on that day. It has much of everything that we need to cover in order to have the service. Most people don't realize that, if these things are left undone, that there can be anywhere from 75 to 125 different items that need to be addressed after a loved one's passing. So this final wishes organizer can just remove all those details ahead of time. And I'd love to give you each one of these once we meet and help you fill yours out. So we collect things like the vital statistics. So we already have those on file. And that way, when it comes time for the death certificate, as the mortuary or the funeral home, we can go ahead and submit all those details on your behalf and get those death certificates and all the other arrangements underway quickly. We collect information regarding military record. If somebody's a veteran or spouse of a veteran, we want to make sure that they have those benefits. We do have promotional options for veterans, for police, for fire. We do have some support for them. Special instructions. So again, this is putting in those personal touches, those personal details regarding the service. We can have all that ahead of time. Emergency contacts. So we'll get all the information for persons to be responsible for that time. If there's any family that is either in the area or out of the area that you'd like to be contacted for the service, maybe children or other family members don't know about certain relatives out of state or out of country or very, very, close childhood friends. So we were able to contact a lot of these people for you. Last but not least, again, as I mentioned, we have all the permits. We have your permission to do the service your way. And we have that, again, that complete set of instructions already on file submitted by you. That way, none of your family members have to kind of come up with the plan for that day. They'll just go based on what you've planned. Um, each of you came here to, for your own reason. I'd love to hear what your main reason is, your most important reason for joining is. But for now, we'll just share with you some of the most common reasons that folks like to have these conversations and put a plan in place. Um, that first one there is decisions that would further burden a family later. Those are addressed now, right? So there's no guesswork. The final wishes are respected. Nobody's left wondering if they did the right thing or the wrong thing. They just went based off of your wishes. Of mind for you and your family, and knowing that these things are done and they've been submitted and they're set on record with us ahead of time. This is a big one again, addresses funeral costs. So again, more often than not, either the vast majority would have been covered by the time that day comes. In many cases, we have where everything is already fully covered and paid for, and family doesn't have to worry about coming up with the remaining balance on any of that. Reduces additional stress during that time of grief. Um, Loss is already very, very difficult. Having to plan an entire service for someone while you're also attempting to process what has just occurred, passing of your loved one, can be very, very difficult and very, very taxing on mental health. So it's just better to have these things planned out ahead of time. So the way that we cover this for the services would be the funeral policy. So it's essentially a life insurance policy, but really it's specialized funeral insurance. So it's much different than any product you've ever heard of. Um, this basically gives us the opportunity to have five very, very strong points where it gives you these huge benefits. Because in California, the mortuaries legally cannot hold on to your funds for services that will be rendered in the future, which is why we work closely with this company, National Guardian Life, and they basically act as the bank for us in this situation. And once the time comes, they'll release the funds for the funeral service itself. So the five biggest benefits is we are able to guarantee the vast majority of the funeral costs. So every year we have a cost increase. So when that cost increase comes, so long as you did your arrangements before that, doesn't matter if it's 10 years from now, you have secured the majority of those costs at the time that you planned. You will not have to incur any, inflation essentially. So it's protection against inflation. Funds are protected by that insurance provider and held for safekeeping along with all the records. And records are held with us. And you also get a copy of everything that you've submitted. And when that time comes again, they'll release those funds to us for the service. The service is transferable, meaning that if you're living in this area, you plan with us, and later you decide that you'll be moving to another state or even another county that's far enough away where you would like to just change the mortuary. We can assist you in transferring the funds from the service to, say, Arizona, if you're moving there, or Florida, or wherever you may be moving. I can definitely assist you with transferring the funds to the mortuary that will be closest to your home when you move there. So ahead of time, you have manageable monthly payments at a pace and a rate that's comfortable for you, versus at the time of passing, if there are no arrangements made, unfortunately, everything has to be paid in full. Last but certainly not least, there's protection during and after the payment period. So depending on the level of coverage, there can be either partial forgiveness on the balance or the entire thing can be paid in full and absorbed by us. So there's a lot more benefits to this. It's not so simple, but these are just kind of the five main points, the key points, which is why I like to include these. Really some good points there. So we've talked about some property options. We talked about the services. The last layer of coverage, we have three ways we consider families to be fully covered. The last one is here, this out of area protection provided by Inman Shipping. So what this is essentially it's a one-time cost for the membership. You get a little wallet-sized card that goes in your wallet. It goes just right in your wallet, just like a credit card, slips in easily. As it says here, there's worldwide coverage, no age limits, no health questions, no deductibles. Um, Forest Lawn covers you up to 75 miles, passing from up to 75 miles from one of our locations. This will cover you as long as you have it ahead of time. It can be in another state or in another country. It's really a huge added benefit and it provides ultimate peace of mind for those folks who like to travel, even as close as Las Vegas can be upwards of $2,000 to bring your loved one back here. So this little chart here kind of shows, let's just look at, if we look at the North and Central America portion, if we just go down to, let's say, Mexico, a lot of folks go to Mexico for vacation. Just from Mexico back to the Southwest can be upwards of $5,000. Then, of course, once we look out to other countries that are much, much further away, let's say China or Japan on the left-hand side here, you can see those costs go up significantly. And compare that to a one-time membership fee of $499, $500 with the out of area protection. It's really a great benefit just to consider. Some of the special events we have at Forest Lawn, again, at Forest Lawn, we're much more than just a cemetery and a mortuary. We are a staple in the community. We have several events year round for various cultures, and we always have our gates open for these events, and they are free to the public. It's just a way that we like to give back and serve outside of the funerals and what folks normally think of when they think of Forest Lawn. So we have ongoing grief support seminars. They are live on Facebook. You can also watch the playback. We have grief yoga. We have a grief walks inside of our parks. We really have a great comprehensive program for folks who are dealing with grief and loss. Aside from that, this is one of the past exhibits that we had at our Forest Lawn Museum. Most folks don't know that we do have a museum in our Glendale location located at the top of the hill. If anyone would like more information about that, feel free to contact me. I'd be more than happy to assist you and perhaps give you a tour of our museum or any of our parks. So this one was Persona, exploring self-portraiture. That has gone. We did change that exhibit. Here's another past exhibit. This Narcissus exhibit was a beautiful stained glass exhibit. Current exhibit that we have is In Bloom, Flowers in Contemporary Art, and it'll be going until February 15th. And then after that, we'll bring in a new exhibit. So we change them about every 4 months or so. We like to change our exhibits and invite all the members of the community out for the grand opening event. So really, the best way to get your plan in place is to schedule your appointment and kind of get all the information and see what makes sense for you and your family. You can also give me a call at any time. My number is listed here, just that third line there, just below my name. I'll also maybe see if perhaps Lisa's Care Connection would be so kind as to provide my email to you all. I'm available for you and your family and your friends 7 days a week, any day, anytime. If you have a need, I'll be there. Be it at one of our parks, home appointments, anywhere you, if it's a coffee shop, wherever you feel comfortable meeting for the information, I'll be there to meet you and serve your family as best as I can. I just want to say thank you to everybody who showed up today. Thank you for anyone who is watching the playback on your sites, and thank you to Lisa's Care Connection again for allowing me to serve your community. That's it. And then I guess we can take questions if anyone has questions.
Yes, thank you so much, Paul, for going over everything. One of the questions is just simply stated a dignitary question mark. I'm not entirely sure what that means or if they're just wanting a definition or more elaboration on what it means.
I didn't use that word. I maybe if the person who typed that, maybe we could have a little bit more context.
Hmm. Oh, and then we have another question here. What do you do if you and your family disagree on plans?
Would that be okay? I'm assuming planning for someone else, maybe a different family member. Maybe that's what it was. I'm assuming maybe there's
Oh,
multiple family members trying to plan for one person and not everybody agrees. Is that what I'm
yes.
thinking?
Yes.
Um, that's another reason we like to have these conversations ahead of time. It can be a very difficult field to navigate. It's a difficult conversation, which is why it's better to have it ahead of time. I would say just if everyone can just be respectful, be open-minded, and just kind of listen to each other and try to understand what the disagreement is, first of all, what is the basis for it? Did the loved one maybe mention something at one point? For example, perhaps they mentioned traditional interment or burial to one family and member, and maybe they mentioned cremation to someone else. So if the loved one you're planning for is unable to be part of that conversation, I would just have a nice, peaceful conversation with whomever is involved in that planning process. If you'd like for me to maybe be there to answer questions and assist and facilitate during that time, I'd be more than happy to serve your family and attempt to kind of get a middle ground and see what the correct option would be. There's no easy answer for that one. We always have some families who disagree.
Yeah, of course. Um, we often run into that often with people who are navigating dementia and Alzheimer's care, and especially more towards the end of life as well. Another question is, do you work with any hospice care agencies?
Not necessarily. I just, serve families who come to Forest Lawn or maybe they reach out to me. I don't work with any hospice or anything. I mean, we can, let's say, for example, do these services or certain planning. But again, we don't have anyone who we work with specifically. Um,
Mhm.
we don't do that.
Do you work with social workers or therapists and or have any of them on site at Forest Lawn?
We don't. We have professional grief support counselors. We do
Hmm.
have them on site. Again, they're the ones who are conducting those the live talks and conversations, the grief walks, the grief yoga. They're the ones who are facilitating those events. Other than that, I mean, we will work with anyone who would like to work with us. Anyone who needs services or needs our care, we're more than happy to work with them.
Hmm. Um, let's see. And then are there any um environmentally friendly options that Forest Lawn offers? I know that in the beginning you were talking a bit about the rocks and the tree stumps with urns. But is there anything else that's more environmentally friendly versus, I guess, the traditional casket in the ground sort of burial?
We do have some very simple options that I guess would, of course, sort of break down back into the environment. I mean, you could always use, let's say, just as an example, something like wooden options would eventually go back to the earth, things like that. But if maybe they're asking about a specific, green burial or things of that nature. We're currently not doing that at the moment, but we may be exploring
Hmm.
those options as these things become more popular. I don't know. Um, I know there's some other options out there, but I think the green burial is all we're doing in California at the moment. I don't think there are any other options that would be more environmentally friendly than that at the moment.
And for those that don't know what a green barrel is, do you mind explaining a little bit about that?
Well, we don't do those, so I'm not 100% versed on those, but
Hmm.
I believe I have some idea. It's maybe just a shroud, a sort of burial shroud, and then just probably no embalming, things like that, and just a very, very direct, simple, clean burial. That
Okay,
would be my guess.
gotcha. And then one last question. Oh, where did it go? One moment. Um, there it is. How do you approach this topic? Let's say there's a caregiver who, especially within this niche, they're navigating care with their loved one that has Alzheimer's or dementia. Maybe they're the primary caregiver, like a spouse, or an elder child. And there's been no discussion of what the person's wishes are for end of life. And there's, I mean, there is a bit of stigma and fear around having these conversations. How would you broach the topic if those conversations haven't been had with the person who's experiencing memory loss? And how would you navigate facilitating discussions with other family members that maybe also aren't nearly as involved? There could be some disagreements, or there's just fear and stigma around having the conversation in general.
Sure. There's several questions there. I'll try to get them.
Sorry.
If I miss one, no, it's okay. It's okay. If I don't get everything, please let me know, and I'll be more than happy um,
Hmm.
to go through that. I mean, some of the biggest steps are just I mean, you can't exactly remove that stigma. It is there in many cultures. Some
Hmm.
folks see it as, oh, this is just something we need to do, which it is. It's just like planning for anything else. It's just part of the planning process. But of course, in some of those more difficult to navigate waters, perhaps professionals like of course Lisa's Care Connection would know how to maybe deal with those loved ones who are maybe having those memory loss issues. They may be able to give some guidance on that. What I would say is the safest option, just try to lightly bring on the conversation, especially if it's just with other family members. Um, Maybe you can bring it up in a subtle way about you looking to plan for yourself. Maybe it would go to, oh, maybe we should plan for so and so, our loved one. um, One of the other things is following family tradition. That would be a pretty safe bet, I would say, I would assume, correct, unless your loved one has completely just strayed from family traditions. Then generally they may have the same feelings as, let's say, the service, like toward the services that, let's say, their parents had or their grandparents had. Perhaps traditionally there is always cremation. It's
Hmm.
somewhat safe to say that perhaps they would like cremation, and maybe you can somehow discuss that with them. But again, there isn't really an easy way. It's just case by case. You know your loved one, you know essentially how to approach them. Each person is different, right? You can't just say, why don't
Hmm.
we plan for this? You would, of course, ease into that topic, and knowing your loved one. Um, just be confident in knowing that this is important, believe in knowing that you need to take care of this, and approach it in that manner with the utmost care and respect. not everybody, especially if they're not thinking about it, wants others to say, why don't we do this for you? It's very
Hmm.
difficult. I mean, I've even had some folks who come to me for, they know they want to plan this. We've been talking for quite some time. Sometimes they will, you know, get teary-eyed. Maybe they will cry in the appointment. Um, Again, it's not a sad thing. It's not like I, wear a black suit and say, okay, let's plan this, time to plan this for you. I like to keep it light with folks. I like to maybe make some jokes, make them laugh, and just kind of remove that fear. It's just like any other planning you do. If you have a life insurance, if you plan for anything else, really, it's similar. It's just that ultimate idea of passing that makes folks think, oh, I don't want to talk about this. But again, it is important.
Hmm.
Sorry, that was
Yeah,
all
because
over, but I hope
no,
I
I
got
think that was great. Because I remember we had a discussion a while ago where we discussed how different cultures, if you bring up the conversation of planning ahead, it's like wishing ill upon the loved one that is still currently alive, but maybe doesn't have any arrangements yet or has never spoken about it.
right,
And that it's like, well, if you're planning for their death, then they're going to die. And
right.
that there's some stigma with that in certain cultures and certain belief systems, and just kind of how to broach those topics when that is the belief. So that was more so what I was trying to
Hmm.
ask about. But there's also just like stigma and fear around death in general,
Right.
I think, with any or a lot of cultures and backgrounds. So just wanted to
Sure.
ask.
Hmm.
Um, okay, perfect. And then I think that's it for the questions that we have. Is there any closing remarks or anything like that that you would like to share with everybody?
Just I hope that you all got some good information here today. I hope this kind of gets you thinking. And um, again, if something wasn't clear, or if you'd like just more information on your specific scenario, I'd be more than happy to talk to you at length and give you as much guidance as I possibly can. I don't know everything, but I'm working hard to get there. Give me some time and I'll be there. But jokes aside, it is an important topic. Thank you for coming here. This is really the first step. Most folks don't even want to hear the information. I feel like this is a nice way to hear it, get the ideas and the conversations going. And if you ever need any assistance, always happy to serve your family.
Thank you, Paul. Sorry, my dog is barking, so I will get
Oh,
off
it's
of
okay.
here.
Sure.
But thank you for taking the time, Paul. Thank you, everybody,
Of
for
course. Thank
joining.
you.
And if for some reason you only caught a little bit of it or you're watching this asynchronously, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. And I will be sending out an email with Paul's information um, along with some additional information here shortly. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Paul, and enjoy
Thank
the
you.
rest of your Wednesday.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
All right. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.